us improve the quality of life of South Africans, to develop the human resources, especially in the areas where we have scarce skills. The question of environmental sustainability is a very, very important one, especially given the location of the University of Venda in the Venda biosphere. The creation of an information society, a society that is information savvy, that is au fait with the information technologies that are revolutionizing the way we know and the way we learn and the way we relate to one another. Knowledge generation is the ultimate goal of research, and human sciences has a very special place, because there is sometimes a misunderstanding that we have moved further than human sciences. But innovation requires that human sciences continues to be part of it. And then we move on to the next slide. The University of Venda research environment, as I see it, I see the research as engaged scholarship. Engaged scholarship is, of course, the vision of the university. Ernest Boyer, many of you will recall, has got 4 forms of scholarship he proposed several years ago. That education, for example, is a form of scholarship. In other words, teaching is a form of scholarship. And he has other forms of scholarship. So engaged scholarship expands our understanding of research so that it's not divorced from teaching. It's not divorced from community engagement. Locally relevant, globally competitive. That is the mission of the university. But I think we should apply that to research as well. So that's the kind of research we want to do. We also want, in my view, to shift towards an 80-20 undergraduate postgraduate ratio. At the moment, I think we're at about 88% and 12%. And I don't know that that is good enough if we really have ambitions to grow. It's a good thing that we want to produce graduates with such research skills as to enable them to exhibit intellectual rigor, independent and critical thinking. In other words, we want to create future leaders. And we can't without them having research skills. This means that research can't just be a postgraduate thing. It should begin, at least in the 3rd year, it should begin right from the beginning. Students should be taught the most basic research skills, even at undergraduate level. And I have noted that one of the 4 strategic thrusts of the university is, of course, focused on research. Now, let's think about a research-based entrepreneurial university, rather than have a binary where you have research on the side and entrepreneurship on the side. I think right at the beginning, it would be good to have those merits. How can we enhance our national research profile? I think we need to identify or develop research flagships. I've noted that there are a few already in the strategic plan that I mentioned, and also in the other document with a very long name that is difficult to remember, that has to do with the biosphere and entrepreneurship. So we need to continue to do that. It's important for the University of Venda to make a decision about what it wants to be known for, even if it does more things than just what it is known for. We need to develop a PhD and professorial track mentorship program. I have noted the numbers, and I'll come back to them a little later. We need to improve international research recruitment. This is an area where we are not doing very bad. When I look at the numbers, they have been growing steadily over the past 10 years. But there's no need to relent. We need to internationally benchmark our research, but remain locally impactful. And of course, local is not just Thohoyandou, local is Limpopo, local is South Africa, and you could argue that local is Southern Africa. We need to increase collaboration with selected comprehensives. We need to select comprehensives. For example, I look at Nelson Mandela University, and I find it one of the universities we need to compare ourselves with, because they have a lower ratio of staff with doctorates, but they are doing slightly better than us, and we need to know how and why. And certainly also with national universities and national research agencies. Now, the gap between UJ and Univen, as far as number of staff, with PhDs is not that huge. I mean, it's 42 and 49, but the gap in production is quite huge. It's important that we improve qualitatively as well as quantitatively as a university, and we need to embed research productivity into the award and reward systems and criteria of the university. And I include award because it's not always about money, it's about recognition, and we must find ways of recognizing our research performance. And I've already referred to the need to create a symbiotic relationship between the UIEBP and the research mission of the university. To improve our international research profile, we need to engage a number of recognized international scholars as research associates, including a few Nobel laureates. I think it is possible to do that. We also need to target institutional faculty-to-faculty, researcher-to-researcher collaboration with similar but better performing national and international peers. I say this deliberately because there are too many agreements between universities which are gathering dust somewhere because they don't get cascaded down to faculty to faculty. We also need to flip the percentage of staff with M's and D's from 39.42 to 42.58. In fact, if you look at those numbers, you will find that actually there's about 19% of staff at the University of Venda with only honors and below. We are not the worst in our category, but I think we could do better. We need to upgrade the 19% and make sure that the PhD numbers grow. Integrating productive scholarly collaboration into the award and reward system, dealing decisively with plagiarism and predatory journals. If you look at the report of the DHET, the last one of 2018, this is a big issue. It remains a big issue, and I think as University of Venda will have to address that. Mentoring of P and B, people with potential for P and B ratings in the NRF is one way to go, and we need to engage selected ranking agencies like the big three. We choose one and we begin to talk to them so that they can help us position ourselves for ranking. Next slide. Yes. So trying to stick to the 20 minutes. So why do I think I fit? I am fit for this role. I've worked at 4 South African universities. I have been a visiting professor in a dozen others internationally. I have been in management and leadership of the university for nearly 20 years, if not more. I'm one of less than 5, the last time I checked, Black researchers with a B1 NRF rating in the country. I'm a member of the Academy of Science. I have the stature and the experience in research leadership and mentorship to mentor the next generation of research leaders. So for me, it's not merely about doing the job, it's also making sure that this job will be done much longer than the time that I am at the University of Venda. I grew up in this region, so my home is about 50 kilometers from Thohoyandou. I checked on Google the other day, and it would be an honor for me to serve. It would be a way to plow back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Maluleke. We will take 10 minutes of question time. Ms. Ndo, are you ready with your questions? Professor will present all the questions, then you could respond to all those questions.
Chairperson, so far we have 2 questions.
Okay.
I noted that there are some people that look like they're typing on Facebook, so there might be other questions coming through. But in the meantime, I will read the 2 questions that we have. The first question is, the white paper of 1997 and the National Plan on Higher Education place strong prominence on the need to develop research capacity and increase research productivity to ensure both open-ended intellectual inquiry and the application of research activities to social development. How are you planning to improve the quality of research that is fit for purpose in line with the new institutional mission of the University of Venda? That is question number 1. Question number 2. The Higher Education Quality Committee audit focuses on the institutional arrangements that assure the monitoring of the quality for research and postgraduate education. What kind of strategies are you planning to apply in ensuring support, monitoring, and effective postgraduate supervision within the institution that are in line with the new mission of the University of Venda? Chairperson, thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Professor Maluleke.
Thank you very much. So the first question has to do with how we find ourselves as the University of Venda between our own strategic focus and the national demand on the other hand, which is founded, if you like, on the NDP as well as in the science and white paper of science and technology. My sense is that the University of Venda is already on course to bridge the gap between its own mission and the national mission, research mission. Because when I look at the strategy of the University of Venda, I can tell that it is informed by the need to combine blue sky research and impactful research, by the need to deal with the wicked problems that we are facing as a country. And what we need to do is to have more and more flagships to sharpen, as it were, our focus so that we play to our strength. Our geographical location as a university is an important one, and to make sure that our research and our entrepreneurial ambitions speak to that, speak to those. So that's the one thing. And so we can think about how to make the institutes we have, the Rural Development Institute, for example, the Sachi chair that we have, for example, to make them more productive, and even think of other possible flagships that we already have, but we are not specializing in. So that would be my general answer to that. And there are a few ideas as to what specific requirements, but many of the things that I said already in my presentation actually speak to this question. And this moves me to the second question about postgraduate studies. So 19% of our staff do not have a master's degree, roughly. It could have improved over the past year or two. So I think that we should say, for example, suggest to our colleagues that if you don't have a master's degree, at least be registered for one, and make that an important requirement in our contractual engagement with them. And then, of course, think about how long we give them to finish a master's degree. And then the same should apply to those with master's degrees. More importantly, and when you talk about, master's degrees in relation to doctorate, but if you look at the people we have, the number of staff with doctorates we have, which is over 40%, my sense is that we could be performing slightly better than we are doing. I think per staff member, we are producing less than half a doctoral graduate. That is per staff with doctorate. If we could move that to over half a doctoral graduate per staff member, we will have done a great deal. So we need to understand why. We need to understand, is it supervisory capacity? Is it workload issues? And address them and make sure that our staff with doctorates are able to supervise more and in that way improve our postgraduate output. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Do?
Chairperson, there aren't questions coming through, it's just comments. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. I think let's leave it there and thank Professor Maluleke for making the time and for your presentation to this community of the university. You are aware that we'll continue later on, and I will then engage you at the later stage. Thank you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
You may leave the stage, the platform. HR, Professor has left the platform. Can you have the next candidate?
Okay, Chair, we have invited the next candidate, Chair. It's just that because she's internal and using an email address, it will automatically pop her in. So please don't be surprised when she does not wait on the lobby. Thank you.
Okay. Has you joined?
Yes, Chair. Prof. Nechandama has just joined.
Okay.
Good morning, Prof. Nechandama.
Good morning.
Okay, we can hear you clearly. Welcome to the interview for DVC Research and Postgraduate Studies at the University of Venda. Our panel is comprised of representatives from Council, Senate, Executive Management, the Employment Equity Forum, and external experts. I will now hand over to the Chairperson of Council, Mr. Junius Licheta, who is going to be driving the ship. Thank you. Over to you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for having submitted your application for the post of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Postgraduate Studies at the University of Venda. I'm aware that you're currently one of the people looking for the university. I think it's very good to see people from internal wanting to grow themselves. You have a 20-minute presentation and 10 minutes question. The participants in this forum at the moment is members of the community of the University of Venda, and together with ourselves. Over to you.
Thank you. I'll just take a minute to look for my slides. Thank you for the opportunity to present the strategies that I would adopt if I were to be afforded the opportunity to lead the Research and Postgraduate Studies enterprise. I want to contextualize my presentation by starting with indicating that I am recognizing the vision, the current vision of the university, the change process that is currently underway, the thrust, the interacting thrust, and the fact that the research and postgraduate studies is really the sum of the interconnected parts of those thrusts. The arise value chain, the organogram, and the issue of having to balance the relevance, responsiveness with the quality and excellence values, as well as thinking about the economic, social, and sociocultural impact over and above the popular notions of how impact was usually measured in research. I'm also recognizing the scarcity that is surrounding all of us, all the universities, and the financial distress, the uncertainty, of course, that was exacerbated by the COVID-19 situation or pandemic. Of course, the safety issues and the implications for student centricism and well-being, and the complexities and dissonances surrounding the controversial quantity-quality agenda, the ranking, the ratings, etc. And of course, the HDI tag that we have. So therefore, my strategy is going to be anchored on trying to navigate and facilitate the change in perspectives of colleagues, from thinking fragmentation to recognizing the beauty of connection, wholeness, and integration. And of course, worrying about the present, but anticipating the future, thinking from isolation and silo mentality to collective wisdom and actions. Isolation and differentiation, but also most importantly, standing in our power, standing in our advantages. And of course, I've talked about the issue of quantity and quality and impact and scarcities to opportunities. So I would like to describe my strategies around recognizing research as innovation, as learning, as placemaking and space making, as entrepreneurship, as humanizing relational practice, and as a way of negotiating identity and a tool for transformation. And therefore, as a tool for transformation, I'd like to make it possible for colleagues, everyone, the university communities, including the stakeholders, to engage in deep conversations and sometimes difficult conversations. I would also like to renegotiate the niche areas and the thrust, the process which is already underway. Sorry about that. And then, of course, think about challenging the notions of relational detachment towards a more humanizing approach of performance, working with each other, elevating the research agenda and the ethos, and beneficiating on our HDI identity. I would like to also talk about and how I want to influence the reflective practices, the way in which we are able to stop and say, how are we doing? What can we do better? And so forth. I'm thinking of ways in which we can introduce training regarding scientific integrity, regarding ethics, and I was thinking about ways in which we could make sure that it is each and everyone's responsibility as a researcher, and therefore allocating points that are linked to performance. Of course, sustaining the processes of compliance, which is already underway, linking ourselves to national bodies that are able to monitor and provide insights into further development. I'd like to decentralize the power and responsibility as well as accountability to faculties, to executive deans and directors of institutes and other business units. And I hope that as I move forward, that will show clearly what I mean by that. Lay foundations for impact measurement, input, process, and outcome measure. This is a crucial part if we are to link our performances moving forward to impact, because it's not usual that we would think about the socio-economic impact, more so because it is not a fast way that we can determine as we do in numbers. So I would like to negotiate with the deans the contracts and commitments that are linked to performance and which already indicate how are we going to measure ourselves. And as we do the participation, the performance, we also make sure that we quickly recognize our shortcomings and our weaknesses and put in place targeted intervention programs. And of course, supporting and mentoring and training the young academics for impactful research would be my strategy. In regard to capacity development, moving further, it's important that I take care of the stars, meaning the rated researchers, the researchers that are promising and are doing valuable, relevant work that will allow our university to achieve its objective. Of course, mentorship programs is important as well in that regard. With regard to revitalization and strengthening the structures, processes of the research enterprise, I'd like to indicate that it's always going to be important for me to facilitate a process where we stand on our power and capabilities. There are things that we are already doing very well, and we would rather maximize on that while at the same time intervening on our shortcomings. I can give an example that there are colleagues already that are interacting in the important space of food security as a chair of the nutraceutical hub. There is already excellent work that is happening with IRD, that we have the research chairs and the other flagships. So I would like to strengthen that. I would like to support that. I would like to expand and see if we cannot enlarge where possible. With regard to the system, this already existing committees. However, I would like us to, with the participation of colleagues, to look at the effectiveness of some of the committees that we have and how might we do better, and bring back some of the practices that we were tending to forego, such as valedictory lectures and so forth. Collaboration is an important aspect in the work of research and postgraduate development. And I would like to be intentional about it, targeting also national and international collaboratives, but not forgetting that I indicated that it's time that we also look at how we collaborate internally as well. And I'd like to facilitate a process of periodic reviews. I'd like to support the initiatives, probably with EMC, with the Vice Chancellor, of knocking at the doors of industries, sitters, checking what is it that we can enlarge from the Sub-Sahara and the African at large, because the reports are showing that as a country, first and foremost, we do well with collaborating elsewhere, but not in Africa and not in Sub-Sahara. So my target will be, let's look at those areas and be intentional about why and how we want to collaborate. Of course, recruiting adjunct professors and other external practitioners who can enhance the research agenda. And of course, headhunting will be important because it helps in matching our needs with the competencies that we need. Looking at research as entrepreneurship, it's a good thing that we already are on the move. There are already concepts on the integrated innovation and entrepreneurship plan and so forth. So those would have to be developed as fully fledged business plans. Sometimes, because we need to be streetwise, there may be need for sectional plans in terms of how we will want to use that to target the funders. So I would like to work with champions and work groups in developing and looking at that responsibility further. And of course, I mean, we have roughly 23 sitters the last time I checked, and I should be contributing towards us getting some of them co-sponsoring the research chairs in our campus. And of course, making sure that the laboratories are also of such a nature that they can also beneficiate on the products. I mean, COVID-19 provided us with opportunities and possibilities. We saw our lab, for example, our microbiologists, for example, producing sanitizers. So it is possible. Of course, in the near future, establishment of that entrepreneurship and innovation hub would be part of what I would want to contribute, and that the activities there are driven by scholarship and by making a difference in people's life. Which brings me to the issue of research as co-creation and co-innovation, always extending the arm to the idea that there is plurality and multiplicity of knowledge forms. And therefore, unless we invite the co-development with society, with communities, with expertise, with organic intellectuals, and so forth, we may not be able to maximize the return on investment. I would like to therefore look at the functioning of the technology transfer unit and make sure that it extends the communication and the engagement with society in terms of innovation. Certainly, the reason why it is so important to create opportunities for an innovation hub is that communities would be able to find space in beneficiating. But most importantly, for the university is that the translation and engagement and the science communication should be strengthened. COVID-19 again provided us an opportunity to realize that time is up for universities to eliticize knowledge, because we can all imagine what would have happened if there was no engagement in the science that was associated with COVID-19 and the variants that then emanated. Most importantly is to also, for Univen, is to also allow conversations about the fourth industrial revolution, the artificial intelligence, and what it means for our rural regionality and so forth, and how might we become useful to the communities, and of course negotiating and training societies and communities on the intellectual property rights while doing that, and also making sure that every researcher, every society that is involved in innovation is aware of those rights. Then quickly, in the interest of time, I'd like to promote and facilitate improving the student-centeredness in our postgraduate enterprise. I would like commitments from faculties to make quick diagnosis. Faculty, moving to faculties is an opportune time for us to be reflective about it and make sure that we check ourselves in terms of how are we giving out, how are we communicating, are we student-centric, are our forms online, etc., etc. And of course, supporting the training of supervisors. That is very important. It has been reported in almost all the reports that I checked that supervisor competencies is still a problem, and certainly our university is not immune to those challenges. So again, I'd like to introduce CPD points such that a supervisor can only supervise if he or she has undergone that, particularly with younger supervisor. Certainly, I'll canvass for collaborative supervision because it allows opportunities for mixing of expertise and knowledge and wisdoms that comes with one who has had to do this work for a longer time and the new ones. And of course, the mentorship that goes with it. I'd like to treat I would like to canvass that we treat our postgraduate students as future leaders, as stars, and therefore provide them opportunities to showcase their work and to even compete, even if they were to compete also nationally, so that and internationally, so that it is a way of also showing ourselves. And also, of course, supporting the recruitment of postdoc, it's important, and also varying ways of conducting our doctoral program. And finally, this slide really was, for me, just throwing the summary of what I think my strategies would entail. And I can see I'm running out of time, but to say that it is important that we realize that the connections that we have will make us the great university that we are in an engaged way if everybody allows responsibilities for engagement at the same time, making sure that everything that we do takes into consideration the needs and the circumstances of the students, let alone of the researchers themselves and the entire community. And the line between all of that really is the connections that makes us who we are. And with that, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you, Professor. We will now take questions from the members of the community. Ms. Ndo, how many questions?
Thank you, Chair. We have the 2 questions that were asked as standard for all the candidates, and then there is another question that the media team is busy munching for us. In the meantime, can I read the 2 questions?
Yes, please.
All right. The first question is, the White Paper of 1997 and the National Plan on Higher Education place strong prominence on the need to develop research capacity and increase research productivity to ensure both open-ended intellectual inquiry and the application of research activities to social development. How are you planning to improve the quality of research that is fit for purpose in line with the new institutional mission of the University of Venda? That is the first question.
Okay, the second one.
The second question is, the Higher Education Quality Committee audit focuses on the institutional arrangements that assure the monitoring of the quality for research and postgraduate education. What kind of strategy are you planning to apply in ensuring support, monitoring, and effective postgraduate supervision within the institution that are in line with the new mission of the University of Venda? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Over to you, Professor. There's the third one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. With regard to the first question of the quality of research, which is fit for purpose, I would like to go back to my slides quite a bit where I was indicating that we already, for example, have our strength and our regionality provide insights into how we might be relevant. So that is what we should be continuing to do more. Certainly, our strategy evolves around the integrity, the ethical researching, the innovation, supporting that the faculties have their faculties as spaces for engaging and for questioning what is working and what is not. Because fortunately for South Africa, the systems and the support that we get from government is already propelling us to that direction. And so the quality, as we are now determining it in the 2021-2025 strategic plan relates also to what we are doing is making a difference where. And therefore, our discussion and engagement of quality should include those. It should include what is entailed in ethical researching and ethical engagement. And therefore, the support would be, the responsibility for me would be to support that actually become the integral part of how we do things here at the University of Venda. The scholarship of engagement has provided us with lots of insights into how we might want to integrate our stakeholders, our collaborators, our society in this definition of the so-called quality. And the indicators are out there, which is what I said. I would have to have interactions about that and then get commitments so that we can all propel towards that quality direction. And certainly with the training of students, the postgraduate training and supervision, it's very critical also in contributing to impact in the future. And so with regards to each step of the student's life with us at the University of Venda, we need to be engaging such that our interactions recognize the status, the challenges, the expertise, the capabilities of our students, and intervene accordingly. Certainly, the university and postgraduate supervision is not about us duplicating ourselves as supervisors, but it's to allow students to be the best of who they are in relation to their society and their communities. And therefore, that's why I talked about collaborative supervision, which would be and should be internally and externally, and making sure that we converse about quality, because it would require, if performance in those areas are about making sense and questioning the sense if it is working for us, then we would have to engage with them as well as with the rest of the world in terms of what that means. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you.
Chairperson.
Yes.
There is 6 other questions that came through for Prof. Nechandama.
Okay, maybe let's deal with them. I'm just worried that the other bill had two. Now suddenly you got this surge in numbers.
Okay. The first one. How would you go about preparing a university budget for the DVC Research and Postgraduate Study Division and allocating resources if you get appointed? Number 2, I appreciate the approach of moving from silos to connectivity and decentralization. These are burning problems plugging existing research and initiative enterprise at Univen. Could you explain more how you intend to decentralize and enhance research interests?
Okay, let's look at the time now.
Number 3, how do you...
Maybe we'll take 3. We've got 5 minutes to answer. Oh, maybe let's take 3 over here.
Okay. Number 3, how do you resuscitate laboratories and move forward from current status quo? Number 4, if you get appointed, how are you going to make sure there is enough budget for research? And the last one,
What I was saying, we leave it to 3, I think. Let's limit it.
Oh, okay.
Some of those can be covered.
That's fine.
Okay.
Should.
Let's do 3. We're running out of time, but
Okay.
34 minutes. Yeah. In 4 minutes, Prof, just deal with those.
Thank you. Quickly, budget is a collaborative responsibility and is determined by a lot of things. What is there? What is the priority, and so forth and so forth. And therefore, it links with everything else that I was saying. And I will definitely negotiate on the basis of those priorities and make sure that at least the budget team is aware of the pressing issues. And I think that goes also with the resuscitation of laboratories. Certainly, it is also the responsibilities of researchers themselves to continue to engage. But I will definitely support, and having learned from other labs internationally, I'm sure we can find ways to resource the resuscitation thereof. Decentralization, how to do that whilst I'll give you an example of something that I'm sure most researchers are aware. We have, for example, the trainings that happen centrally that we haven't been able to evaluate the effectiveness of that, and whether we are actually reflexive about it. We are intervening on anything through those training. So I'm thinking if it is done at faculty level, having determined its own need, which is why I said I would like to hear those diagnoses and commitment in the beginning, so that I could follow up on what the faculty plans for interventions are. And then my job would be, of course, to resource and support such initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Thanks for the time and the presentation and the way that you answered the questions. The time has come up now. Thank you, and we'll probably talk later.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can leave the platform now. HR, we do have another candidate.
Yes, Takarani is busy linking the last candidate.
Okay, thank you. We'll wait.
Thank you, Chair.
Prof. Potgieter, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Yeah.
I'm well, thanks. You're welcome to the interview for DVC Research and Postgraduate Studies at the University of Venda. Our panel is comprised of representatives from Council, Senate, Executive Management, the Employment Equity Forum, and external experts. I will now hand over to the Chairperson of Council, who is also chairing these interviews. Mr. Junius Lecheta, over to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you. Firstly, let me thank you for putting forth yourself as an applicant or as a candidate for the position of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Postgraduate Studies for the University of Venda. I believe you're also part of the team at the university at the moment. That's pretty good because really you show your interest at the activities of the university, and hopefully you want to make sure that we become a very successful and eminent university. Your presentation is for 20 minutes, and then 10 minutes will be for question time from the community members who are attending. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me just share my screen. Is my presentation on the screen?
I can see it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. We were given the task to prepare a presentation on taking into account the University of Venda, the 2021 to 2025 strategic plan, as well as the Univen Integrated Entrepreneurship, Innovation and Biodiversity Plan, and to share with the panel what strategies and initiatives will I implement to ensure that the university achieve its strategic objectives. I am Professor Natasha Potgieter. I've got a PhD in medical virology. Just a short summary of my biography. I am currently the Dean of the School of Mathematics and Natural Sciences at the University of Venda since 2014. I'm also a full professor in the Department of Microbiology since 2012. I'm also a visiting professor at the Water and Health Research Unit at the University of Johannesburg since 2010. My current NRF rating is a C2 level that I got in 2018, and it's going on till 2022. Summary of some of my research output in December 2020. I've got 69 published articles. At this stage, there's 3 that has been accepted for publication. It's on its way to be published. I've got 3 journal publications and non-peer reviewed journals. I've got 19 technical reports, 6 book chapters, 1 book edited. I successfully supervised till graduation in 2019. The BSc honors students is 96. The 2020 cohort is 6 that will be graduating this year. Master students successfully supervised is 40, with 2 that's coming this year, and then doctoral students successfully supervised is 11, plus another one that will be getting her degree in May graduation. The research metrics, it depends on where you go. From Google Scholar to Scopus, my H factor range between 16 and 21. I received grants nationally, internationally, and also internal grants from University of Venda. My collaborations is nationally, internationally, with people and institutions from all over the globe. If I have to give a little bit of background on my achievements as Dean, I increased the number of PhD students, staff members in the school when I started from 24 to 46 at the end of 2019. The number of NRF-rated scientists in the school grew from 8 to 13. The number of postdoctoral fellows in the school grew from 3 to 12. The graduates in the school when increased from 201 to 403. MSc graduating in the school, when I started, there was 5. Now in 2018-2019, we stand at 25. PhD, there was not a lot of PhD graduating in school. It was 1 maybe, and then 1 2 years later on. But last year,
sorry, Professor, can I just interrupt you?
Yes.
We've got 20 minutes. What you're telling me, I've already seen that. I just need you to address the topic that we have, and then that's it. I've got the full profile of all these activities. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Then let us go to what I need to talk about. In 2020, a new strategic plan and operating model was approved by the Council in May 2020, and the strategic planning framework was developed for 2021-2025. This was done to position the University of Venda for impact and relevance, and the university vision, Univen vision, was a university leading in engaged scholarship. And one of the core values is we are driven by quality and excellence in all we do and passionate about learning, innovation, and creativity. The DVC Research and Postgraduate will be responsible for research and postgraduate studies, community engagement, international relations and partnerships, all the flagship projects in the university, the Univen Art Gallery and the Univen Creche. What I feel the DVC Research and Innovation mission must be is to support academic staff in their efforts to attract funding sources, develop proposals, and comply with international and national prescripts of ethical research. Also to develop relationships to support in the identification of research needs, participating in collaborative research, commercialization of research products, also to facilitate collaboration across disciplines in the conduct of research, scholarship, and creative activities. Then also to support the development of institutional research niche areas, support the establishment of centers of excellence, assist in the development of applied research and problem solving in projects, simulations, workplaces, and community, looking at work integrated learning, and focus on research areas that support social and environmental sustainability and developing revenue streams to contribute to financial sustainability. Then also to develop focus areas that address challenges faced by the communities locally, nationally, and internationally. As Deputy Vice Chancellor, there is a need for the following: to act with vision, taking the Univen strategic plan into effect and decisiveness to enhance Univen profile and competitiveness on research, innovation, and development. And then to improve the research at the University of Venda. There are 4 strategic trusts, and each of these trusts has specific strategic objectives. And I will look at each of these strategic trusts and then engage in that. The first strategic trust is on student-centeredness and engaged scholarship. And it's all about the student well-being, the success, how to improve the graduateness and employability of the students, to look at multi and interdisciplinary programs and research, to strengthen engagement of student, staff, and community stakeholders, to enhance teaching and learning support by providing targeted support for staff and students, and to enhance quality of research output for innovation and impact. Now, what will be important is to prepare the 5 years research and innovation strategic plan based on the new Univen strategic plan, and make sure that at the end of the day, we want to produce Univen graduates with the attributes that is intellectual rigor and commitment to excellence with a broad understanding of other disciplines, that is innovative and entrepreneurial, able to identify opportunities that come along the way, able to communicate information eloquently, effectively, and appropriately. Students must be socially responsible and committed to bettering their communities and societies. They must be independent, creative, and critical thinkers who can apply their knowledge and skills. And ethical practice and commitment to sustainability. What we have to also look at is the quality of supervision that must be improved in the faculties that are now created in the new structuring program. And in that, we have to make sure that training on supervision for novice academics must be a priority. The main supervisor must have a scholarly record, especially looking at first author publications to be a main supervisor. We have to mentor novice academics, and that must be a priority. And they must also be looking at a memorandum of understanding between the student and the supervisor, so that both parties know the responsibilities, roles, expectations, and meetings. And then the research project that masters and doctoral students undertook must be publishable. What is also important is to create a learning and research environment that is welcoming, that addresses the demoralization of researchers and leads to a non-conducive environment for research. And that I'm talking about power cuts, poor internet connectivity, procurement issues, maintenance of equipment, several research infrastructures and facilities that needs to be refurbished, and the replacement of aging research equipment. So the next thing that I would like to do is prepare proposals for large funding and acquisition of new infrastructure for laboratories, for research equipment, for research centers and offices. Then establishment of research labs specific to niche areas, and also simplify the systems of support services to researchers, where we look at the paperless system and reduce the number of signatures, especially when we look at travel, procurement, and payment issues. What is also very important under this is to look at the digital transformation that must take front row in the new strategic plan, especially with regard to the fourth industrial revolution. And we also need IT technicians, not interns, to run the service. And in this, I'm talking about issues like in science, like bioinformatics, where we look at genome analysis, where we need our own server to become a leader in the field where we can provide a service to others, instead of us going to other people and other institutions to do the work. We're looking at the modeling studies that already started at university. We're looking at computational software for maths and stats, GIS studies, simulation studies where we look at virtual experiments and 3D technology. Then also in robotics, drones for geothermal images, mining that can be used in mining and agriculture. We cannot take science and fourth industrial revolution apart from each other, especially not where we look at technology systems and platforms, because they are interlinked and play an important role in science development. I would also like to revise and recommend through appropriate Univen structures policy framework on staff and students' participation in national, regional, and national conferences, seminars, and workshops. Then also implement a competitive postgraduate student support system for masters and doctoral students, where we then also increase the number of masters and doctoral enrollments. I want to centralize applications and admissions of postgraduate students and the appointments of supervisors and examiners. Then also increase the number of masters and doctoral graduations through better supervision, infrastructure, and funding systems. Then also look at how we can improve and change the policy for doctoral thesis, that there's at least one article published or accepted for publication in an accredited journal before graduation. It is very important that we develop policy documents for the creation of specific research technical staff, and then advertise for the recruitment of these research technical staff who are needed to manage research laboratories and research farms. What I also would like to see in place is the establishment of successful postdoctoral fellowship program to boost publications. And then when we appoint these postdoctoral fellows, that we look at a product of 1.25 research units per year in accredited journals. Currently, we have 21 postdoctoral fellows in the university from different funding projects, so that can be increased. Also like to see that postdoctoral research fellows and postgraduate students must be given appropriate technical tools such as laptops to ease their research, that they don't sit without IT. Also utilize the Future Professors program to use to mentor and equip candidates, and prioritize a dedicated program for women research leaders. What is also important is to grow the pool of NRF researchers. Also reconsider retention and recruitment strategies by developing some kind of reward system to attract and retain them. At the moment, we have 27 in the university. We had one B-rated scientist, but he has also left now. So all of our NRF-rated scientists is in the CPY category. And then we can also, if we look at the 2019 research publication output, see how these NRF-rated researchers do contribute to the subsidy units that we get for publication. It's also important that we appoint at young senior professors, but that is actually scholarly professors to assist us in the publications and postgraduate output. We also want to establish a successful postdoctoral fellowship program to boost publications because they are also assisting in that. The research professors, we did have the council approved 20 research professors, but we only have currently 4 research professors in place. They do contribute to research publication and postgraduate output, but we have to make certain that these research professors that we appoint become mobilized funds and become self-funded within the 5-year contract that they have. We have to assess the relevance of the current research niche areas and identify specific focus or priority niche areas that will drive the research in the new strategic plan to produce relevant and impactful research, and it must be entrepreneurial driven. Currently, we have 7 niche areas that we have to look at, and we can see if they are still useful for where we are at the moment and in the new strategic plan. Community engagement and engaged scholarship, I think we can really, from that point of view, strengthen impact of engagement with the community. At present, we have many community engagement activities, but some of them are fragmented and not linked to an academic program or project, and some does not have measurable outcomes. But we do have one school that we took on a social responsibility by the university and the community engagement committee, and this is a Marudi school, where it's a development project and partnership with Univen. And we can also utilize in community engagement Univen Crash for training and research activities and serving the community. We have several flagship projects that some of them are very strong and some of them need some assistance. And I think it will be good if we take each one of these flagship projects and draw up a 5-year strategic plan for them and see, that we build on the successes and we bring up the ones that is not very successful to become more successful and to assist the university with image and as well with the output of students. Now, if we take all of that in context, then we can look at the summary of the annual research publication output between 2012 and 2019. And we can see that there are many issues that we can list is, why the output is up and down, and, it took a dip before it started to increase again into 2019. And we can look at the research publications per school from 2012 to 2018. And we can see that some schools did improve and some schools did not improve. And there can be a lot of reasons for this. We can look at the workload, we can look at the infrastructure that is not right, we can look at funding examples that is not correct. But this can form a strong basis how to improve what is wrong on ground level, to improve in the new faculty system, the research output, and see why it's important to bring aboard postdoctorals and more NRF chairs and rated scientists. One of the things that was also interesting is that if you look in 2018-2019 about research publication output for female researchers per school, and this is something that I said that we need to have a strong program that focus on the upliftment of our female scientists in the university. Many of them are still busy with their PhD, many of them are in junior posts, but this can be a place where we can start taking them into a mentoring program and seriously help them. We have already started that through the Directorate of Research, and we will see the fruits of what we have done there. If we look at the strategic thrust number 2, it is to make University of Venda entrepreneurial university. There are 4 objectives, starting with developing entrepreneurial culture, to ensuring financial sustainability outside of subsidies, to be an anchor institution for effective integrated local and regional development, and to develop enterprise. When one look at the entrepreneurial university, Univen has to respond to the social and economic needs of the society, contribute to national economic growth and local development in the short and the long term, and stimulating new enterprises and innovation. So Univen must become a socially engaged university. Now, there's no unique approach to follow, but it will and must involve interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary cross-cutting approach. In other words, it is important to know how we will manage resources and build organizational capacity, involve external stakeholders into the leadership and governance, embed digital technology into the activities, create and nurture synergies between teaching, research, and societal engagement, and how we promote entrepreneurship through education and business startup support, as well as knowledge exchange to enhance the innovation capacity of the existing firms. It will involve the participation of staff, masters, doctoral, postdoctoral fellows in research activities that produce novel solutions and products that can be commercialized. It will also include the development of joint research structures with government departments, private and non-governmental organizations, professional associations, other institutions, industry, alumni, and other interested individuals. The plans must ensure mutual benefit to all parties involved. So students and staff must gain experience and expertise associated with the entrepreneurial activities, and communities and business sectors must benefit socially and economically from the research. In this, it's also important that we advertise our research strength of staff from Univen to industries for collaboration. Now, the entrepreneurial ventures that I would like to explore is to project the project's contribution to the university town concept in Tuyando. We can look at integrated and spatial development planning, local economic development planning. We can also explore third stream income generation opportunities from research and through staff expertise. And here we look at things like indigenous knowledge, where we can look at cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, the cultivation of plants, bee farming, by prospecting like mopane worms, nuts, and wild fruit. We can also use our expertise to do water quality assessment and treatment, alien vegetation removal, and agricultural techniques like irrigation system to save water, catchment dynamic expertise, fish farming, rainwater harvesting technologies, ecotourism, where we look at hotel and hospitality and rural guest houses, arts and crafts, and public administration. So we have a lot of expertise and research opportunities that we can get involved in. We can participate in initiatives like the Vembe Biosphere Reserve, the Mwanedi Agri Hub, and the Musina Makado Special Economic Zone. What we also can do is to invite international visiting entrepreneurship professors or business sector representatives to assist us in lectures, in training workshops, and entrepreneurial issues. The National Research and Development Plan strategy in 2002 emphasized the need to increase the rate of patents of inventions that is based on publicly financed research. So there's an urgent need to increase the number of patent applications filed for and patents granted, particularly for inventions arising out of public funded research. It is upon this background that the Patent Incentive Fund has been put in place by the Innovation Fund. And this is one thing that Univen encourage in the entrepreneurial side. We established in January 27 the Univen Office of Technology Transfer with financial support of the National Intellectual Property Management Office. We produced an IP policy that was approved in 2018 by the Venda Council. And we also received TIA seed funding to assist Univen researchers to advance their research outputs into prototypes and fundable ideas for commercialization. It also enables researchers to de-risk research outputs for follow-on funding from TIA. So these are the projects that we did find that TIA seed funds were given to. And out of these projects, there are 3 complete patents registered at the university and others on different stages of registration.
Prof. Potgieter,
Yes.
may I please ask you to wrap up?
Yes.
Thank you. In 2 minutes?
Yeah, let's try. Okay. Strategic thrust number 3, governance for outstanding scholarship. We need to strengthen committees and forums that play a major role in driving Univen institutional research publication outputs agenda. We must make sure that these policies, practices, and procedures that drive the research publication outputs to excellence is regularly reviewed. We have to assess how effective each of these research and innovation development activities were in the past 5 years and either improve activities or stop activities where they're not effective. We have to standardize procedures and guidelines for Univen faculties and research faculties. The procedures and how research proposals and cost estimates go through appropriate university structures and agency for approval and grants awards must be looked at. We need to compile research activities in Univen and come up with a database of all activities and need to compile publication outputs within school. And this is where we need a specific Converus software for caption and submission of research publication. We have to look at the availability of funds at the time when needed by researchers, because we do have problems at the moment with issues that is being sorted out that with finance department. We need to look at the finance to be readily available after the promise letters have been sent. We have to look at the restructuring or redesign criteria used for Vice Chancellor awards for excellence in research and innovation, community engagement, and internationalization. If we look at strategic 4, which is the last one for linkages, partnership, and internalization, there is 3 strategic objectives, and there we look at where is the ranking of the university at the moment. We are currently at number 19 of the 26 public universities, based on our output units. So we have to make sure that research projects are globally relevant, flexible, interdisciplinary, and multidisciplinary. So in this, we have to promote linkages, effective cooperation, and good working relationship, looking at the Millennium Development Goals and National Development Plan with institutions from the South African Development Community, the African Union, BRICS, and European Union institutions, so that we can promote strategic partnerships for leveraging sustainable sources of funding and comparative advantages. We need to formulate framework in developing and sharing African statistics and research and development capacities, and create more research chairs in niche areas, appoint champions in research areas, create centers of excellence and technology stations and position them to boost research and innovation for institutional, regional, and national priorities. We need to appoint the scholarly adjunct research professors to improve publications and appoint on a competitive basis more postdoctoral fellows to work in centers of excellence. We need to pursue and encourage international exchange partnerships. We need to look at more joint degrees. We already have one between Univen and Paul Sabatier University of Toulouse, and we already graduated a PhD student in there. We need to look how we disseminate research and encourage open access of science and research, follow the NRF model. We need to promote technology transfer through research projects done in collaboration with local and international collaborators, create networks and partnerships that enhance research and innovation in Univen, And then advertise Univen researchers strengthen areas of expertise as widely as possible. We have excellent researchers at Univen and they need to be recognized. And I want to end off by just, looking at one in my school is Professor Mootley that produced 4 publications in the best scientific journals, namely Nature, Science, Proceedings of the National Academy of Science in the US, and Molecular Biology and Evolution. There are the 4, and I want to really thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Professor. We will go straight into the questions from the members.
Thank you, Chairperson. I have 5 questions. Question number 1, I'm going to ask all 5 at the same time, Prof, so that we maximize on the time.
Okay.
Question.
We'll try and really keep it to 10 minutes of the answer of the question, please.
Thank you, Chair.
Overshot now.
All right. Question number 1. The White Paper of 1997 and the National Plan on Higher Education place strong prominence on the need to develop research capacity and increase research productivity to ensure both open-ended intellectual inquiry and the application of research activities to social development. How are you planning to improve the quality of research that is fit for purpose in line with the new institutional mission of the University of Venda? That is question number 1. Question number 2. The Higher Education Quality Committee audit focuses on the institutional arrangements that assure the monitoring of the quality for research and postgraduate education. What kind of strategies are you planning to apply in ensuring support, monitoring, and effective postgraduate supervision within the institution that are in line with the new mission of the University of Venda? Question number 3. Looking at your current position as Dean, what are the hallmarks of a well-run tertiary institution? Question number 4. Outline your top 3 research-related challenges and how you will address them if you are appointed, as well as why do you think you will succeed where others failed? And the last question. Prof. Potgieter, I like your strategy for growing the number of NRF-rated researchers. Will you be comfortable in leading researchers who are rated higher than you? Those are the questions. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start, if I can, I want to start with the last question first. I don't have a problem in leading NRF-rated researchers that has a higher ranking as me, because the NRF biodiversity chair had the B ranking and I'm a C2 ranking. So, and I've got several C1 ranking researchers in my school, and I work very nicely with them, and I'm not intimidated with the fact that they are higher ranked than me, because I believe there is space for everybody. So I hope that answered your question number 5. Then I want to go to the question that you say, what was my biggest challenges in research? I just want to make sure that I understood that question correctly.
Which one, Prof. Potgieter?
And the third one, I think.
Outline your top 3 related challenges. That one.
Yeah, if you can just repeat that one.
Outline your top 3 research-related challenges and how you will address them if you are appointed. Also, why do you think you will succeed where others failed?
Okay, the first challenge I think that we have is the issue with getting funds and payments in finance, but I think that that is a challenge that we all had with research funds that is paid into the community in the university, and then it's not transferred into the system. But I know the new CFO has a new system going that any funds that's coming into the university now, the people are already emailed and say and told that the money is there. So then it's easy to follow the funding and get it transferred. So I don't think it is a question from failing. It's just I think the right system wasn't in place, and with the new CFO, that system is in place. So that is one thing that I think is sorted out, and things will be better there. Another issue that I think is the fact that we really have a problem with, you know, students going to the field, and the fact that students cannot utilize research transport unless they have a driver, and we don't always have drivers available. That is an issue that we really need to look at. I know that in my school, what we have started doing is that we have allowed the students to go to the field with a little invoice book where if they take a taxi, that the taxi then sign for them for the trip, and then they claim that back from the research money. So there are ways of getting around it, unless the pool of cars and the fact that you know we change our system in having students that do have driver's licenses can be covered by the insurance of the university. That is one problem. I think that you know we can just tackle and see you know what we can do at there. But there are ways of getting around it. Another issue that I think that we really struggle is the fact that there are lots of signatures that we have to do, and you know the slip of paperwork. And I think now that some of the forms is already on the IT system, I think that is going to limit a lot of these signatures and you know the people that needs to walk around and take the form from one place to another place to get signatures. So we are really moving into a better system now with the IT system on that. I just want to say then the second question of the first question that you asked about. Can I ask you to just repeat some of these questions because I cannot remember all of them? Like question 1 on the white paper.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me get to that question. The White Paper of 1997 and the National Plan on Higher Education place strong prominence on the need to develop research capacity and increase research productivity to ensure both open-ended intellectual inquiry and the application of research activities to social development. How are you planning to improve the quality of research that is fit for purpose in line with the new institutional mission of the University of Venda?
Thank you very much. You know, taking into consideration what the white paper says, and you know, to improve the quality of the research and the students, we need to look at the niche areas and see how we're going to change the research that students are doing, that it becomes a part of social development, that there is a part in that there's entrepreneurial side in that, and they can publish the results. So it is important that the students start doing research that can be publishable, because if it's publishable, then that's already an output, and it increases the level and the quality of the type of student that we send out from the university. So that's why I stated in one of the issues that I wanted to do is to look at, you know, change the way that we are doing PhDs work, and make sure that there is a publishable article, because I think we've had a lot of dissertations that wasn't even publishable, and a lot of people from and a lot of students on masters and PhDs work is never published. I also think that one of the things that we have to look at is the quality of the supervisors that we appoint, that we really get senior scholarly supervisors that can be the main supervisor for a PhD and a master student, so that they have that role model, and that in that process then we can mentor the novice or co-supervisor and help them to learn through the process, and make sure that there is guidance and mentoring as well. I hope that answered your question.
I think it's a fair attempt at the question. I think that should be the rest of the questions, Prof. We have run out of time. I'm going to suggest that we conclude at this moment, and then we will engage with you later on. But thanks for the time and for the presentation, and we'll talk later. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good. Professor, can use the platform now. Can you make sure everybody has left the platform, except for the panelists? Ms. Ndo, can you confirm?
Chairperson, Prof. Potgieter has left the platform. I just wanted to check if I should ask the media team to also leave.
Yes, please.
All right.